The Killer's Game is directed by J.J. Perry and stars Batista, Sofia Boutella, Terry Crews, and among others. And in this story, it deals with a hitman played by Batista who is having to pretty much look into retiring the game as an assassin after he finds out that he has a disease that he only has a few months to live for. And after he gets involved with Sophie Pattilla's character, who's a ballet dancer and everything, he ends up pretty much putting a hit out for himself. And I'm gonna leave it there because there's some other stuff I can't really get into detail as it goes into spoiler territory. But essentially, it kind of takes a similar angle like you've seen in other films that deal with everyone having to go after like one guy, like you see in the John Wick movies, or even in some cases like with Smoking Aces and other stuff, where all the assassins are having to go after him. Now, going into this film, I wasn't really expecting much. I just kind of thought, going from the trailers, it was one of those kind of movies that is just like your typical standard hitman type of assassin film. And didn't really think much about it, and so after upon seeing it, I can honestly say that this was actually quite a lot of fun. I was really surprised by this. It has some things that could have been a little bit better in some areas, but I think that it was a really fun time, and it really put me in the category as like a good double feature with not only probably with Smoking Aces, but like if you look for something that's kind of like a low rent type of John Wick type of movie that's not maybe on that caliber, but something kind of more like if it was like in the same universe or something, I think this would be kind of a good fit with that at least. And so, to get my pros out of the way, I thought the cast in this were all great. Batista, I've always admired as an actor, especially with a lot of stuff he's done, especially in the Guardians movies, Blade Runner 2049, a lot of other movies that he's done in the past. And here, it shows that he's really not able to really pull off on his acting with, the emotional scenes as he's known for, but in the physical department as well, especially when he's kicking ass and taking names and stuff. And he was great. And then I also really appreciated his chemistry with Sofia Boutella, who am really getting into a lot as an actress. And while I wasn't really the biggest fan of the Rebel Moon movies, I do like her in those movies, and I think that she really finding her footing in the action genre, especially if you've seen her in stuff like the first Kingsman movie and everything. So she really goes great in this one, and I really enjoyed her here, and I like the chemistry that she has with Batista in this, where he really cares for her and stuff. So she was great, and then on top of that, the biggest standout for me the most is definitely Terry Crews. Not only as one of the assassins that's going after Batista, and I thought he was not only hilarious at times, but it's just great seeing Terry Crews in a big movie like this, because I think the last time I seen him in anything that was like really big as far as like a big type of action movie kind of like this was The Expendables 3, I think. Maybe. I think that was like probably the last big movie I've seen him in. But here he gets to really crack a lot of one-liners I really enjoy. And he just had me laughing my ass off every time that he was not only, saying certain remarks, but also this kind of subplot that he gets himself into with this guy that's kind of basically that follows him around and stuff while doing while on this job. And he's like very obsessed with him and stuff, trying to like put sunglasses on like he does. And it was just his camaraderie with that guy was just so hilarious. So he was great, and then the action scenes I really thought were really well choreographed, especially when we get to see us showcase a lot of the other well-known martial artists and wrestlers that come in here, like Scott Adkins is here again, and he gets to show off a lot of his skills, and when he gets his fight with Batista, which is fun. And then there's another wrestler in this that's also here by the name of Robert. Drew McIntyre. I thought he was great too, as like the brother of Scott Adkins, where him and him are kind of bickering back and forth, and they have a really great fight. He also has a great fight scene as well, but Batista I enjoyed. And then some of the other actors that show up too, especially Ben Kingsley, was fun to see. But the girl that played Mantis from the Guardians movies, she gets a reunion here also with Batista in this, so that was also great. And she plays the one that's kind of heading everything of she's the one sending out the hits out and everything. And not only was she fun to watch, but it's great to see her in more action films like this and the Mission Impossible franchise. I really hope that she gets to do more stuff like this down the road. And then I gotta really appreciate the soundtrack is good, hearing some like classic songs that they play here and there, and the movie's kind of vibe with it being that kind of like I guess it's that very fun type of level where it's all that kind of like stylized feeling of dialogue that's just trying to be cool and stuff. I thought was really fun to hear, and just the way that they were able to blend a lot of the humor and everything, and so that was great. And then there's more I can go into detail, but if I had to get into some of my cons, I would have to say that one of the things that does hold the movie back is there's a lot of CGI blood in this movie that I feel like is a little too overused. There are some cool practical effects here and there that they show, but a lot of times when you see people getting shot and everything, it does seem pretty repetitive. It's when you do see the blood that happens a lot of time, it is very noticeable CGI a lot that really takes me out of it at points, but. And they do kind of overdo it a lot of times, but for the most part, I was still involved with where the movie was going and everything because I still was having such a blast. And, you know, because the movie does also get into some stuff that's very predictable a lot, and you kind of figure out where it's going to at the end. So it's one of those that's very standard. But the movie has fun with it by giving you a lot of these colorful villains that they throw in there, and just the way that it plays along with Batista trying to, you know, outsmart outsmart the hitman and stuff. I thought. Just the way that he's trying to set up like little traps and stuff, I thought was really not only fun. But I do have a con with that, only in that some of the death scenes that they do show later on in the film, they do get overused with too much of the explosions. Because I feel like that's really kind of like copping out on some of the bigger action parts. And I think that, you know, we could have seen a lot more creative kills throughout the film like we saw in the first half. There are some ones that they do show here and there later on down the road, but it does feel like some of the characters that they meet their demise, they get killed off, and some of the bad guys end up pretty much getting killed off in like ways of just explosions and stuff. And while that can be cool, it does seem to get overused a lot. That, and I feel like there's more they really could have spent more time with as far as the other villains that they set up, because other than Terry Crews, who really has like the most like character-ish type of story, I mean, there's other than Terry Crews, who has probably like the most like fleshed out, so to speak. The rest of the villains, they come and go, and they don't really get to see much about who they are, other than like some quick backstory that we hear about them and everything. So there's more they really could have filled in, because they're getting like little title cards that come here and there that make it seem like they're really relevant to the story. And it's like, you know, you could have really spent more time with them and doing stuff to really set up. So if the movie would have went longer, we probably could have seen more of that. But overall, though, I still had a fun time with this movie, and with that, I'm going to give it a low compelling grade on the Film Freaks meter. So, for those of you who have also seen The Killer's Game, let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.